Our guest today is the person responsible for allowing my husband, Alex, and I to work together effectively while maintaining our healthy relationship. A little backstory. When I was ready to return to work after having my third child, Alex suggested that I return to working with him. We had previously worked together in the past with enough conflict that I was reluctant to take him up on his suggestion. However, with the help of a third neutral party, I agreed. This is when we met Jen Couldrey. Jen is a professional EOS implementer, helping entrepreneurs like Alex implement the entrepreneurial operating system, EOS. Jen has acted as a coach, facilitator, and trusted advisor to hundreds of leadership teams throughout her career, spanning Deloitte, small consulting firms, and running the Upside Foundation of Canada. Jen has a business degree from the Richard Ivey School of Business at Western University and has been recognized as one of the top 100 most powerful women in Canada. Jen is also a mom to a 3-year-old and a 7-month-old baby. Welcome, Jen.
Thank you so much for having me, Laura. Happy to be here with you today.
Before we get started, can you talk about what EOS is?
Yes. So EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System, is a set of really simple tools to help entrepreneurs run their business better so that they have a better business and a better life.
And what does an EOS implementer do?
So I get to work with companies who are typically small to medium-sized companies with 10 to 250 employees, and I help them put in place more structure so that their business runs better, get their whole team aligned around what their long-term vision is, what the plan is to execute on that, get all the tools in place so that everyone is making traction against that vision, and then help them build a really healthy team culture. It's a lot of fun.
It is. It's lots of fun working with you. Being an EOS implementer means that you are self-employed, you run your own business, you're also a mom, you run your own household.
Yes.
During our EOS sessions together, I would share my vision of intentional household to you, and you ended up becoming a client.
Yes.
I think one of the biggest barriers for a lot of parents, moms in particular, is recognizing that they can't do it all alone. So can you talk about how you got into the mindset of bringing in outside support?
Yeah, great question, Laura. So I've always been focused on wanting to spend my time on the most important things and recognizing that time is so limited, especially at this stage in life, right? When I want to be building my career and I want to have a family and spend quality time with my kids and don't want to be completely ignoring myself or my relationship. So always trying to figure out how I can spend my time on the things that matter most. And as I looked at the different women and people around me that I admired, tried to sort of pick and choose from those people, how they were spending their time and what I wanted my life to look like. And, I would look at full-time stay-at-home moms, and that didn't appeal to me because there seemed to be so much, there was no time for themselves. And I looked at some of the women who were working full time and going downtown full time. And that just seemed exhausting to be doing the commute and trying to take care of everything at home. And so it was actually when I was part of a community of women entrepreneurs called Dovetail that I met all these women entrepreneurs who had chosen very unique paths and were structuring things in a really unique way. And it started to open my eyes to what was possible. It gave me a broader menu to choose from in terms of what mattered to me and how I wanted to spend my time. And then as we started talking and, I was running my own business, pregnant with my second child, knowing my time was going to be stretched more than ever before, I thought, I really need to think about where I can bring in some help so that I can enjoy this time and not feel so stressed about keeping my business going well and getting the quality time I needed with my new baby.
That sounds great. I found it very fascinating because you are an EOS implementer. You help entrepreneurs and you help businesses really come together, really thrive and allow them to grow and to become successful. Being an EOS implementer, you help to set businesses up for success. You are very skilled, and I would never have thought that someone like you would need the help of going through the intentional household process. So what about it appealed to you, and why did you feel like you couldn't just do it on your own and hire someone on your own?
Yeah. So I read 2 books in the last 2 years that really helped to shift my mindset around some of this stuff. So the first is Dan Sullivan's Who Not How, right? And this whole concept is not how am I going to solve this problem, but it's who can help me solve this problem. So I was looking for a who to help me find my who, right? So I knew at this stage in life that I would need, an extra set of hands to take on the stuff that I didn't have, that wasn't the top of priority for me. And I knew I wanted the help of somebody who knew what they were doing to help me navigate that, because I've never hired help like this before. So wanted your help with that. And then the other book was this concept of buy back your time. So really knowing that at this stage, given how precious time is for me, using my money to buy my time, to spend my time on what mattered the most. And I knew that partnering with you, there would be, as we're working with any coach, there's always things that a coach can see that you can't see. And so I knew that working with you, you'd open my eyes to ways of looking at things and ways of doing things that I couldn't see for myself.
You are an extremely organized individual, and you have a high standard, I think, both for yourself and for other individuals as well. Can you share any concerns you had either starting the process together or concerns that you had during the process together?
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely, we started working together when my daughter was 4 weeks old, trying to get this person in place.
Yes.
And I was very nervous thinking about how can I find someone that I'm going to trust to leave this tiny, precious baby with. So I was very nervous that we'd be able to find somebody that I felt I could trust. As you and I were working together to map out what this person would look like, we came to a very unique structure for the role and a unique type of list of things we wanted this person to do.
Yep.
And as I shared this with some other people in my life, I definitely got some pushback around, you're never going to be able to find someone like that. You're not going to find someone who wants to do that. So there was definitely some fear, some internally and some externally imposed upon me, that we wouldn't be able to find someone that would be a great fit for this. So I was definitely nervous about that.
Yep. I remember that. And I think it was all about, in the end, staying true to your needs and exactly who you wanted, what you wanted.
Yes.
And in the end, we did end up finding that person for you, which is great. But it is easy to be influenced by those close to you if you're sharing what it is you're doing and what you want.
Or just to stick with the normal structure, right?
Yeah, that's it.
A nanny who only looked after your kids, who works 9 to 5, right? That is the standard.
Yeah.
And to deviate from that is nerve-wracking, but I think working with you, you gave me the confidence to stick with what I knew we needed.
So like you said, we started the process together when your baby was just weeks old, and we spent 9 weeks together from start to finish. You were very busy during that time. So how did you, and a lot of people, everyone's busy, right? It's very hard for everyone to find available time.
Yes.
So how did you find the time for us to meet during your, having a newborn? Maternity leave. You may have been working at the same time still. I can't recall.
Yeah,
but
I was doing a little bit of work, but I wasn't seeing clients yet.
But how were you able to make the time?
So as you said, it's always challenging, right? And my husband works full time, so trying to coordinate with his schedule too when he was involved with us. But I read this other book a few years ago called The One Thing, and the concept is, what is the one thing you can do, which by doing so will make everything else easier. So I knew that as much as it was hard to find that time, that only by investing time up front to really get this right would it change our lives after that, right? So by investing that time up front, I now have a lot of freedom with my time because we worked so hard to get this right.
That's true. Yeah, we put in the time together. So we met for 1 hour at a time weekly to really put everything together so that you could find the exact person who fit your needs.
Yes.
But it meant that at the end, after 9 weeks, we found that person for you who you're extremely happy with.
Yeah.
And hopefully that person is going to stay for a long time. And you don't have to deal with the conflict because you were set up for success. and this person isn't going to potentially leave you and you're going to have to go through the process again.
Yes.
Right. It means that we did it right and you have the right person.
Yeah, exactly. And I loved, you had us map out our energizing activities and our draining activities so we could really focus on the things we wanted to get off of our plate and therefore what we could spend our time doing. And that was a big focus. So one of the concepts we talk about at EOS is right people, right seat, right? So I think we were really focused on getting the right person for the seat. So right people, right seat starts with mapping out exactly what the seat looks like, right? So getting really crystal clear on our expectations for the role. And I think if I were to compare what we came up with against what I would see as a typical nanny job posting, it was very different, right? So
that's right.
Very, very specific. And we wanted to be really crystal clear up front exactly what this person could expect. So once you know what you're looking for, then again, EOS, we use this concept to assess if someone is the right person in the right seat. Do they GWC the seat? So do they get it? Do they want it? And do they have the capacity to do it? And so as I was going through the interview process, we were really pushing for, does this person, of course, checking, do they get it? Does this kind of work come naturally to them? Do they have the capacity to do it? Are they going to be good at this job? But really pushing on the want it piece, right? Because so many people just want a job.
That's right.
And we pushed really hard to make sure they wanted this job, right? So the hours were unique. Are you comfortable working noon to 8? Is that going to be a big problem for you? We wanted them to be taking on things outside of normal nanny duties, like helping with more cleaning and dishes and laundry and that sort of thing. And really challenging people to say, trying to understand if they were just taking the job because they wanted a job or if they really wanted this job and this was well suited for them. And I think that having such a high standard around that means, as you said, that we hopefully have a partnership that will last for a long time because they want this job, not just a job.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah, we took the approach as if you were hiring someone for truly an organization and professionally hired someone and acted in a professional manner so that they took the job very seriously. And look what you have now, right? It's a wonderful relationship, but also professional at the same time.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Having gone through the process, what were any learnings or key takeaways you had?
I think it's getting really crystal clear on exactly what you want. And part of that, I think, is just opening your mind to what is out there. So, as we were starting to gear up for this hiring process, my husband and I were chatting with other people in our lives when we were looking for, and different people would plant different seeds, right? So somebody planted the seed of, our nanny works in the evenings for us because the evenings are the hardest part. And so as new parents dealing with a little baby who had witching hours in the evenings and a son coming home from preschool and wanting all of our attention, that was all of a sudden our minds were open to this idea of maybe we could have someone in the evening. And then, I shared that with somebody else and they said, we are never going to find someone who's willing to work like that for you. So I think this idea of soliciting opinions to open your mind to what's possible, but then really staying true to what matters for you. And you really helped me stay strong with that. When I came back with, I'm not sure if we're going to find this, you said, Jen, we've mapped out what is energizing, what is draining. So let's stay true to finding someone that's really going to help you with what you need. So I think so much of it is just staying true to what you want despite outside influences.
That's so true. And you have such a great point when you said soliciting, advice from those around you. Because I think when a lot of people are thinking about getting a nanny, they're like, okay, I know someone who has a nanny and okay, their hours are 9 to 5. This is what the nanny does. Yep. That's the norm. So I guess that's what we're going to do. I don't really know what else the nanny can do for me. What else do I even need? Right. Yes. And then they may end up hiring the nanny for a time that doesn't really meet their needs and having the nanny not doing everything that they need, right? Or not being fully utilized or fully supporting them.
Yes.
So it really is wonderful asking around, what are you doing? What are you doing? Yes. What works for you? Okay, so actually there's no pattern here. The pattern is that people are having their support for when they need them,
yes.
right? And then it's identifying what you need.
Yes.
Right?
And I think there's, especially as women, there's so much pressure we put on ourselves and that society puts on us around what we should be doing and the kind of mom we should be and the kind of worker we should be. And so navigating through all that to figure out what really matters for you. So for me, I said, at this stage in my life, all I want to be doing is spending quality time with my children, running my business, keeping my business thriving, not growing my business, but
Yep.
just keeping a solid business, serving my current clients really well, and having some time for myself, right?
Yes.
Getting to the point where I can go for walks, go to Pilates, spend some time with my husband in the evenings, get to the point where I can go out for a dinner with friends every now and then, right? So I really stayed focused on how do I want to spend my time and how can I find support that's going to help me outsource everything else.
That's right.
And that's very unusual, right? Is, when I talk to people about, they say, how are you doing? And I say, I've never been happier. My life is so great right now. And I credit so much of this with this wonderful person that we've hired. A lot of people have fed back to me, well, most people I know who have a nanny don't rave about them like this. And I say, well, it's because like we've really designed the role to be, a nanny is really a third parent in your household, right?
Yes.
They're a third person
Yep.
to do the things to take on the load of running your household. And so we've been really careful at crafting what are the things that I don't want to do that aren't the best use of my time. So our nanny does the laundry, she cleans, she cooks for us. So she does so many of these things that I feel my time would be better spent with my kids or working. And it's life is really good right now.
That's great.
We're very lucky. And I do recognize the privilege in this, but life is very good. Right
yeah.
now.
So one other thing you talked about was you listed off essentially the things that matter most to you right now. And you actually created a list of what matters most to you.
Yes.
And you have that in an app in your phone. Oh, okay. You want to share it?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's hear what matters most to you.
Yes. So when we started working together, it was a big expense that we were about to take on. And I sat there and I thought, how do I know this is worth it? How do I know that this was a good investment? And so here was my success criteria. We will know this is successful if my husband and I's relationship improves because we get to spend quality time together most nights of the week. I'm starting to work out again. I have a general feeling of peace, calmness, and being in control. Our evenings are calm and happy, which at the time they were not, right? My daughter was screaming. I would start making dinner. We were finishing dinner 2 hours later. It was just absolute chaos in the evenings. I could be more present with my kids, have more quality time with my baby, feel on top of things with work, feel like I don't have to multitask all the time. So it wasn't always, watching my daughter while taking a call, while trying to get all these things done. I could really focus on work or my kids when I was with them, and be able to start tackling little projects around the house. And so as, we didn't get there in the first week, but I started ticking these things off. And within a month, I would say all of these things were true. And now I look back at this and say, this describes my life now.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. I'm so glad to hear that.
Life is good.
I think that step of identifying what matters most to you is a step that so many people miss. Right. So it's okay. I'm going to hire a nanny or I'm going to hire support.
Yeah.
But what does that mean, right? Like, what does matter most to me? Well, how do I want to spend my time? And they don't even know. So creating a list and then reminding yourself of that list and referring back to it is a great first step.
Well, what's funny is before we brought our nanny on board, life was really challenging. And as I'm sure many new parents can relate to, right? When you have a baby in the house and you're trying to keep your lives going, life is very chaotic. And very quickly after our nanny started, life got easy. And I remember having this thought very quickly being like, I don't even know if we need her anymore, right? Like life is easy now. And then I was like, whoa. Be careful. Like life is easy because she is here, right? Yeah. Because all these things are true because of her. And so it's just this great reminder of these things are possible in my life because we've chosen to make this investment at this time.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. You mentioned that hiring a nanny is a big financial decision. So my question is, how did you come to terms with deciding that it is valuable and you want it to proceed and you're willing to be paying for someone full time?
Yes. So it was, I never thought I would be the kind of person that would have a nanny. I just didn't think that was a thing that was available to me. But, being an entrepreneur and coming into this stage of life, knowing that I wasn't going to be able to take a true maternity leave, we made this decision that this was an investment that would make this year more enjoyable for us. Right. And we thought, if we just enjoy this first year with our daughter, and life is a little bit is not so chaotic, then that's a great investment. When I read Dan Martell's book, Buy Back Your Time, that is truly how I'm thinking of this investment at this stage in our life, right? The thing that matters the most to me at this point in time is my time. And so we're using our family money to buy back time with our children, right? And that's the thing that we've decided is worth investing in now over things like saving for the future and vacations and renovations and having a lot of nice new things. So we've really decided to invest our money in having quality time on a day-to-day basis and getting to enjoy our time with our children at this point in time, which I think is an investment we will never regret.
That's right. Well, I like how you keep referring to this point in time, right? You're talking about the present right now because you have this nanny to support you right now.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean that you are going to have someone forever, right? Your needs change, right?
It's true. Although she'd be very hard to,
to not have. Yeah.
We're so lucky and so spoiled, and it's hard to think about life without her now.
I bet. Yes, that's right. Thinking about the process that we went through together, what do you think we did differently than what you would have done if you had done it on your own or perhaps used a different service?
Yeah. Well, I think, first of all, it was a very professional approach, right? We said like there was a clear job description. It was a very clear structured recruitment process. So I think it mirrored like a professional recruiting process more than what your typical nanny recruiting would look like. And I think most importantly, it was very holistic, looking at our lives as a whole and saying what matters to you in your lives, what's draining to you in your lives, what's energizing to you in your lives versus just picking this one specific role. And I think we probably would have had a very different outcome, right? If the question we started with was, let's find you a nanny versus let's figure out what you need in your life to be happy.
That's right.
That's a very different answer.
Yes. Well, your nanny wouldn't be working the hours she's working.
Correct. Yeah.
It sounds like you and your nanny have a really healthy, wonderful relationship.
Yeah.
Can you talk about some of the strategies you use to maintain that?
Yeah. So I would say 3 things. First of all is scheduling and calendar. So we have, I'm a bit of a calendar nut. I love my calendars. So we have a shared digital calendar that me, my husband, and our nanny all have access to. So we can all log things in there. So I think it just gives us a solid place to have a lot of long-term visibility to what's happening, right? My husband's work travel, my work travel, when my nanny needs time off for certain things. So it gives very clear expectations around that. Secondly, we have regular meetings. So every month we sit down very casually, just her and I sit down for about a half an hour and just talk about what's working and what's not working in the relationship. And, going into those, I usually refer back to all the onboarding documents we had. We had a very clear handbook and expectations and a weekly chores checklist and a daily chores checklist. So just checking in to make sure that everything is still going the way we want it to be. And then we have a quarterly, more of a deep dive conversation about the relationship overall. And the third thing is less of a strategy and more of a mindset, really just treating each other like
with respect.
With respect.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And like just a very human relationship. So, just like you would treat any employee at work, right? Wanting to check in with them about their personal life and how things are going and giving them, grace when challenging things are happening in their life, or wanting to be flexible, if they have appointments they need to accommodate for, or specific trips they want to have, and really just being very flexible to them as a human being. So we have as you said, a relationship based on deep respect. She's flexible to us and our needs and our shifting schedules, and we're very respectful of her as well. And I think that forms a really great basis for the relationship.
Those all sound great. It sounds like something we could all learn from in maintaining our own relationships with our support partners.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love the strategies that you use with your nanny. You are extremely organized. I can see how doing what you do as an EOS implementer has allowed you to have success in your own personal life. And I feel like any entrepreneur out there who is struggling with their own business should really turn to you, because you can really help to turn their businesses around, going from shambles to growth and success.
Yes. You and I have always had a very similar approach to this, where we want to bring this sort of organization, an intentional approach to work and to our personal lives. And I love getting to work on that with you in your business, in my life. And it's just been fun to get to see what it looks like in your life, in your business. And this is really fun work that we both get to do helping other people bring
right.
that sort of structure and organization to their businesses and to their personal lives.
Yes, that's right. So if anyone wants to get in touch with you to help with their entrepreneurial business, how can they reach out?
The best way to reach out is on LinkedIn. My name is Jennifer Couldrey. So that's the best way to find me.
We'll link all of that to the episode below. Thanks so much for being here, Jen.
Thanks for having me, Laura. This was great.